taken the time to count your blessings. Life's been good. Oh, life's been good. Have you noticed how many times you've been rewarded?
Yeah, wonton soup, that's right. We've had some Mexican ones before. Can't remember what else have we had. Can't remember off the top of my head.
Spanish one.
A Spanish one, a Japanese one. I taught people how to make sushi. The Chinese, yeah, Chinese Tran did that, didn't she? And we may very well in the autumn have an Indian one because Crossback comes from India. So I was just thinking about one for the autumn. An Indian one we can do. And another one we can do is Kenya. So we like to try the food as much as possible, and then just have a few bits, and then someone who's got some kind of connection, tells us a bit about what their connection is. So today it's Christina, who is from our church, and Christina isn't from Australia, but she's lived there a while, and she's going to tell us some things about it. So thank you.
I may use this board to live in two different places. At first I was in the south, Victoria, so this side of the kangaroo is all sort of about Victoria area and where I was, and this side of the kangaroo is Northern Territory. We call it top end. Okay, so tonight you can call me Sheila or Shield, because I like to abbreviate things, which I learnt when I was out there. Right, what I thought I'd do is do a little sort of cartoon on the paper and just see if it would make you tell me why this thing, anything you know about the thing. Right, so. Strange animal? Okay, it's supposed to be corks. Before I went to Australia, I thought everything was a joke. To me, it was sort of what I saw comedians do. But I realised the cork cats were amazing, because my first summer there, speaking to friends, suddenly just one day it was fly season, and everyone you spoke to had little flies going all over them, and they go for moisture because all they want is a drink. So when you see films of people, in other countries on the news with flies, it's just because they're trying to get the moisture, that's all. The cork hat is ideal. I guess you could wear a beekeeping thing.
Oh, because of things. Oh, I never knew that. Did you? Anybody know that?
Okay, so I wasn't expecting to go to Australia, and all I knew about it was that I thought it was a land of sunshine, because I was this sort of London girl, and the only Australian I'd seen was on a tin of peaches. It was always called Land of Sunshine. That was exciting. So suddenly I found myself there, and I got there in the year of, I think, 1982, and in England that year there'd been like a drought, it'd been a really hot summer, and didn't expect to go to Australia. I'll explain in a minute. I was there within 9 days of knowing I was going there. Not prepared at all, hadn't read anything about it. Get there, and where we arrived, there's no one around from the organisation we're going to be working with, because it's a school holiday. And the house we were showing to had no water. There was a bit of a problem. So there's no water, school holiday, nobody around, and in the paddock, which is what we call the fields, In the distance there were some sheep and they were all huddled and they were crying because they were so cold. That was my introduction to land with sunshine. And I thought, where's the sunshine? They said, oh no, the wind comes straight off the Antarctic here. So that was Ballarat. So we're going to have some breaks between my going on. So this is an area in Victoria in the south of Australia, and this is where we ended up living, Ballarat. Some nice little stories. It's a small magazine, Mission Aviation Fellowship, that's who I ended up working with. But we were then invited to work up in the north of Australia for 1 year because they needed a pilot. So now my husband was a trained commercial pilot, working up in the north, which was completely different, roastingly hot, 40 degrees centigrade, nearly 100% humidity. And I can remember stepping out of the plane and everyone looked as though they'd been at Wimbledon because everyone was pouring with sweat. And when you shook hands, you all slid off each other. We were dripping with sweat. And just one really quick story. Within a few days, I had a sort of lump on my foot, which grew very quickly, and it was a mosquito bite. It wasn't malarial, but in this area we were in, there were lots of little mosquitoes. This is just an interesting story, be very quick. So the mosquito bite enlarged, and we were living now in a mining town called Nhulunbuy. It's leased from Aboriginal people who have that area of land by a bauxite mine. And this is a picture of bauxite. It's a red gravel and they make aluminium from it. Right up at the very top of Australia. No road in, nothing. There's a little hospital there for the miners that come from Europe and South Australia. You live in a container, a tin container. It's cyclone area. So it's really wild and quite amazing. There's a chap called Ray Mears on TV, and he said that's one of the most inhospitable areas of Australia. There's this sort of London girl that's even scared of a spider up in the north of Australia, and I do pray because I'm a Christian, so it's quite interesting. I pray quite a lot. Anyway, so this lump's growing on my foot. They say, you've got to get that to a clinic and quickly. There's a hospital here, so you need to see a doctor. So someone drove me there. My children had just started school, they were exhausted in the heat, red faces, worn out. So now I'm hobbling with this big thing, really embarrassed because I'm supposed to be helping there, and I'm this new pom. So in the hospital, I put my leg up and they said, the doctor will be with you in a minute. And the curtains parted, and the doctor's name was Dr. Martin. He was Indian. His actual name was Sanjay, but he used Martin, that was one of his names, so it was easier for people to pronounce. When I was 16 years old, in London, this doctor had been visiting my sister. They'd worked together in a hospital, an American hospital. He was visiting my sister when I was 16 in London. My father was putting in central heating, so this surgeon was down on his knees with my dad, dealing with all the pipes in our house, central heating. It's my 16th birthday, he took me to London to see the Oliver. All these years later, I'm in the middle of nowhere. If you can look at this map just before you go, it's the very top end of Australia. There's nothing there, there was no road in, a barge once a week. I'm known as Dr. Martin comes through the curtains. And it was amazing. So after that we became firm friends with him and his wife, and they just arrived literally 2 weeks before from Papua New Guinea, an island above Australia. So they were brand new there, and so were we. So I do pray and I do believe in God, and I thought that was a great gift because he did sort my foot out, so I was able to work there quite well for a year. So it was all adventures the whole time. So now we're in Ballarat and we're learning all about Australia very quickly. My first day I had to go to the aircraft hangar, which was near where the houses we were living in. And there were a lot of engineers there. In aircraft hangars there's always engineers and pilots hanging around. And I was told, you go there, that's where you'll get your mail, and I'm going to warn you about your children. So listen, Don't let them fly and lift up rocks, because you've got huntsman spiders, you've got snakes, you've got this. So it's my first day, and they were all laughing about this. All the men were sort of thinking this is very funny, this very green pond coming out from England with all these stories. However, later if you want to look, it does tell you how to survive the venomous bites. But I think they did it just for fun, but I was absolutely terrified. But I had to pretend to my children everything was absolutely fine, but it was very interesting. So I've got here bushfires and oil. Anyone who's been to Australia or knows anything about Australia, could you think what the link would be? Bushfires and oil. Okay, I will give you a clue.
Gum trees, eucalyptus.
If you want to pass these around, break a leaf and smell the eucalyptus. You break a leaf, pass it around. Just pull a leaf off. I won't put it back in my garden. Pass it around and then break a leaf. And smell it.
Thank you. We've got the leaf.
Pass it on, break the leaf, pass it on. Aftergaze. Lovely smell. Should be a nice smell.
Bigger leaves than we get out here for eucalyptus.
So eucalyptus, you've got a eucalyptus tree in your garden of any type. That's what in Australia is called a gum tree. You don't see our lovely oaks. You see these scattered in the middle of nowhere, looking half dead and very sad. But the smell is superb. They're evergreen, so the leaves fall off all the time. And in the hot weather, as the summer does come, and it gets hotter and hotter, everything starts to dry out. The air is crisp, crisp, crisp. The leaves start getting crisp. And the oil you can have in a forest, the oil can heat to such a height that it ignites. And bushfires can be started by that. It's not always arson. Often it can just be something like that. The clever Aborigines have always done burning around the undergrowth. They've always kept where they've lived when they were free to roam, kept things that there were rarely bushfires because they knew what to do. They all burnt the undergrowth and made sure there were no dry leaves around. So bushfires and oil.